We're heading deep into the Appalachian Mountains, one of the oldest and most mysterious regions in the world. Appalachia has no shortage of eerie and chilling folklore the locals swear by. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's take a look.
In the night, close the curtains and the woods don't whistle. Broom by the door, haints count every bristle. If you're walking and you hear your name, walk faster, don't run. If you run, you'll pray.
Deep in Appalachia, it's known that haints can't cross running water. That's why old Appalachians painted their porch ceilings haint blue. A haint isn't just any old ghost. They're restless, vengeful. You don't want one getting in. The haint blue paint was meant to trick them, keep them out. It was a line of protection and prayer over the doorway, just like a line of salt at the threshold or an iron horseshoe hung above the door. My grandma's house has been abandoned for years, but her haint blue is still here, still guarding the doors.
As Granny used to say, sometimes haints are bound to this earth, that sometimes ill things have happened upon land, and those haints are meant to walk that land for the rest of eternity, and that you should build yourself a bottle tree to protect your home from haints entering it. The best tree to build a bottle tree in is a dogwood tree, because that is the tree that was used for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And haint blue bottles are the best bottles to use, but if you have none of those, it's still best to build a bottle tree than to not build one at all. And you can either have your bottles turned upside down or turned upright. But the haints will be attracted to your bottles, and as they come closer, they'll be trapped inside, and come the next morning light, they'll dissipate, making your property and your home safe again.
I'm from the southern Appalachian Mountains, born and raised, still here. I'm curious if y'all ever heard of something that apparently other people haven't. I've mentioned it to other people and they've looked at me like I had 5 heads. So have y'all ever heard of someone that can talk the fire out of a burn or a blood stopper? I know it's normal here. You get burnt, you go see someone that can talk the fire out. You call them on the phone. Even if they already know your name, you have to tell them your name. They'll tell you, that they're going to see what they can do. You cannot tell them thank you. If you tell them thank you, it will not work.
Did you know it's bad luck to sweep at night in Appalachia? According to Appalachian Folklore, if you sweep at night, you're sweeping out prosperity and inviting poverty into your home. Appalachian Folklore also states that when you sweep things out into the night, you can't see what's there, so there are entities that lurk and want to take away your blessings. I've spoken to a few people who've told me that the Philippines have a similar superstition to this. They believe if you sweep at night, then all the fortune is swept out of your house and it will never come back. But there is hope if you're determined to use your broom at night in Appalachia. It is recommended that you place a broom next to your door during the night, bristle side up, in case haints want to stop by. The bristles on the broom will occupy the haints and keep them busy until daylight, and then the sun will burn them away. Personally, I've always tried to not sweep at night. Now, it isn't necessarily for folklore reasons or superstition reasons. It's mainly because I can't see what I'm sweeping, and I'm probably going to sweep up something that I'm really going to miss, and I'd never know. So, there's always that.
According to Appalachian folklore, there is an all-natural, surefire way to protect yourself from snakes. That being the wood and leaves of the ash tree, which were believed to repel snakes. According to Appalachian lore, if ash wood was used in the threshold of your home, it would prevent a snake from coming inside. Additionally, when a baby was laid down on a blanket or quilled in the grass, some of the old-timers used to stack ash branches around the perimeter of the blanket to protect the child from snakes. It's possible this practice came to Appalachia from European immigrants, as even the famous Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder wrote about the snake-repellent qualities of ash wood. It may also have come from indigenous Americans in the region who were known to stuff their shoes with ash leaves to ward off rattlesnake bites.
Near the Virginia-Kentucky border, there's a stretch of mountain where your GPS freezes. Your cell signal dies, and even drones start to drift on their own. That's where folks say the blue lights appear cold, silent orbs that move through the fog like lanterns carried by hands you can't see. Old miners believed they were spirits trapped under the rock, still searching for a way out. Others whisper their witch lights, calling wanderers deeper into the woods until the night swallows the sound. So, if your screen flickers and the air turns cold, don't go looking for the glow. Because once the blue lights notice you, they don't let you leave the mountain.
In the old Appalachian Mountains, there was one warning every child learned early. If you hear your name called from the dark, don't answer. The mountain folk believed spirits couldn't reach you unless you acknowledged them. So if a voice whispered your name from the woods, the holler, or an empty room, it wasn't a friend. It was something trying to get permission. They called it the calling, a trick of haints, witches, and wandering spirits who used the voices of loved ones to lure you away from the safe path. If you answered, you opened a doorway, and whatever spoke could follow the sound of your voice right back to you. Some say the calling spirit took the shape of someone you missed, a mother, a brother, even someone who'd passed on. Others said it mimicked your own voice just a little wrong, just enough to chill your spine. People who followed the voice often got lost, walking in circles for hours in places they knew like the back of their hand. Some didn't come home at all. If you ever heard your name and knew you were alone, the elders said to stay still, bow your head, and pray under your breath. The living call me, the dead do not. Because in Appalachia, names hold power, and anything that knows yours might be calling for more than your attention.
In the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina on the Blue Ridge Parkway is the Devil's Courthouse. According to ancient folklore, the devil holds court here. He rises up at night to judge the souls of the wicked. The guilty ones are tossed over the cliff. He roams the woods at dusk, and if you run into him, you have to stand trial. The ghosts of the innocent who were tossed over haunt the area, and some folk claim to have run into those ghosts, or even the devil himself. According to Cherokee legend, there's an inaccessible cave deep in the base of the rock with a private dancing hall for the slant-eyed mountain giant named Judacola, who's an ancient Cherokee spirit and is kindly like the Cherokee version of Bigfoot. You can hike to the top of the Devil's Courthouse, and on a clear day, you can see 4 states: North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. Now, the hike is about a half-mile up, and it's steep. It's straight uphill, and there's about a 300 feet change in elevation. But don't go up there at night. There's a creek that springs from the west slope of the Devil's Courthouse. It's called Courthouse Creek, and it leads to a gorgeous waterfall called Courthouse Falls. And I'm going to hike there and show it to you in another video. She's a pretty one. There used to be peregrine falcons that nested in the cliff, but people run them off. It's about 45 minutes from my house, but I was too cold to hike to the top that day. Maybe some other time. This here's a tunnel you have to go through to get to the courthouse. This is inside the tunnel, and no, I wasn't driving while I was filming this. The beautiful mountain range around the courthouse, but don't go down there at night because there's ghosties.
If you are from the Appalachian Mountains, hills, and hollers, you were more than likely raised up on some superstitions and probably were taught to apply them in your life. Cows laying down means it is going to rain. Carry a 4-leaf clover to ward off bad luck. A chicken laying an uneven number of eggs is an omen of danger. A rabbit crossing your path before sunrise will bring unhappiness. Bad fortune is soon to follow when a broom falls no reason. Hang a mirror by the door to protect against evil. Plant your crops under the full moon. Open the window when someone dies and cover mirrors so their soul can leave. Never return salt that has been given to you, or both the giver and receiver will have bad luck.
I used to give house calls in the hills of the Appalachian Mountains. Many of my patients would live off the grid in areas where there was no running water or electricity, and many times, because I didn't have cell service, I'd be navigating to their homes with the use of a map and the compass of my car. Many years ago, I was called out to see a patient in a pretty rural area towards West Virginia, kind of on the border of Ohio. And I pulled up. This patient's driveway it had to be a mile long. But the driveway was beautifully maintained, as was the land they lived on. And when I pulled up, this home was this really pretty, like, blue, dark blue, almost purple hue, with a porch that was painted like an off-white. It was very, very old, like one of those really big Victorian homes, right? And I knock on the door. I'm standing there. This woman comes to greet me, and she is this. I was thinking of this today because I was talking to someone at an event that kind of reminded me of her. But she was like a middle-aged woman, kind of like my age. She had really long, wavy black hair. And she was so sweet. She was wearing like a crocheted frock sort of thing. Gave me like really hippie vibes. And I came in, we were kind of talking about the history of the home and what drew her to it. And she basically just told me that she felt the home had like a really good vibe. And from the get-go, you could kind of tell that this person was kind of like, like the very hippie, spiritual kind of type. And I really liked that about her. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat coming into the home was that the home was full of plants. And I don't just mean like she had a couple of potted plants in the house or like a couple of things on the windowsill. Like, no, she actually had areas of the house where she would just have like a bunch of little potted plants of all different colors and all different sorts and all different kinds. Now, I wish I had a green thumb, but I do not, okay? So I very much admire people's plants, and hers were beautiful. And so after we had talked for a while and I addressed all of her concerns, I had brought up, like, I really like how you have all of these little different potted plants. They're all arranged this way on the, she had a couple of big picture windows, you know what I'm talking about, like big, what are they called, day windows, and the seat where you would usually put something to sit on was just full of these little plants, right? And she had told me that a long time ago, someone explained to her that they had plants, and each one was assigned to one of their friends, and she cared for the plants and she loved the plants. She talked to the plants, and when one of them started to look sick, or one of them started to look like it wasn't doing well and the flowers were wilting, or it wasn't growing, or it looked stressed, she would reach out to that friend, and it was almost like she knew, like the energy, like, knew through the plant. Now, I had never heard this before, but all of her friends were assigned like a particular plant. For example, she told me that she had a friend that was very into like tea and like very into her herbs, that was an herbalist, and so she had a tea rose that represented that friend, that little things like that. And then when she had a plant that didn't seem to be doing well, that was assigned to that friend, she would give them a call. And she told me that she had never specifically told any of her friends this before, and they just thought that she always kept an eye on them and was very mindful, and had like this personal connection with them because she always knew when something was awry. This was the first time I had ever heard of anything like this before, and I thought it was just such a sweet sentiment, and it kind of reminded me of how we all kind of keep in touch with our friends differently and love our friends differently. However, later on, like much after I saw this patient, I had a cousin that gave me a clipping of like a cactus leaf or something, and I don't have a green thumb, but I was able to keep it alive for quite a while, and I did notice that sometimes when the cactus looked a little sad, I mean, honestly, I'm less nurturing than a desert. I can't believe I couldn't keep a cactus alive. It was not my fault. I tried, okay? But when the cactus started to look kind of meh, I'd give her a call, and she'd be like, I had a really rough week, or my day at work was horrendous, or yeah, I'm so glad you called. I really wanted to talk to you about this, that, or the other. So whether you have a plant that maybe just reminds you of someone and gives you that thought to call them, or maybe there is something more to it, I don't know.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe and share your own stories and folklore in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and question everything.